Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be sharing all of my Sephora Savings Event recommendations. It should be live the day that this video goes live. Today should be the first day of the sale, and I'm going to share all of my favorite things with you. So every category, I did try to keep this pretty condensed. I didn't want to go and give you too many options per category because I love makeup. I have a lot of products that I love, but I tried to be really intentional about what I'm sharing. So this is a pretty condensed version of what I would recommend. If you're new here, my name is Blair. I do all kinds of beauty content here on YouTube every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I hope you'll subscribe. If you have not already, welcome. We would love to have you here. And let's just get started. All right, let's start with primer. I want to say, first off, I am not the biggest primer person. I personally think skincare is much more important than primer. And most days, to be totally honest, I feel that my skin is already primed for makeup. So this is a step that I skip quite often, but I do have two things that I want to share that I really do like and enjoy when I do apply a primer. So the first one I did use today, and this is from Iconic London. It's the Underglow Blurring Primer. What I like about this is this does a little bit of everything. It gives you some glow. It's kind of a serum-y, or it is a serum-y texture. It has the dropper applicator, and this gives you some glow, but it also does have a little bit of a smoothing quality to it. They do say it's a blurring primer. I don't know that I would describe it as blurring, but I do think it does help smooth the skin. If you have some pores, I do think this helps to kind of just give you that smooth, even canvas. However, it's not the most blurring product by any means. So if you are trying to really mattify and blur certain areas, I would not direct you to this one. But if you are wanting a little bit of everything, this is wonderful. It's very thin and lightweight, but it pairs beautifully with makeup. Over the top, I never had trouble with pilling. I love it. I would highly recommend this one from Iconic London. And the second one is actually a newer favorite for me. I haven't had this for too long, but I've really been enjoying it. And it's from iNNBeauty Project. It's the Face Glaze Highlighting Gel Cream. So this is one of those kind of multi-use products. You can wear this underneath makeup. You can also wear it alone to give your skin a little bit of a glow. You can also mix it into a foundation and make your own tinted moisturizer with it. You can do a lot of things with it. One of my favorite things about this, and this is such a small trivial thing, but I really like the packaging, like this squeeze tube, because you can literally just squeeze it on your face. I love doing that with products. Sometimes I don't want to use a doe foot applicator or pump it out on my hands. Like, I just kind of want to draw it on really quickly. But apart from that, I just like this as a glowy base. I use this most with concealer as my foundation for the day. I love pairing this with like my Natasha Denona concealer all over, or the Tower 28 concealer all over. And this does give you some glow, but I will say it's not a metallic glow. Some of the other products that are similar add up so much glow that your skin almost looks kind of metallic, like Tin Man. This is a glow without being too much. Moving on to probably my favorite category of makeup, or at least one of them, and that is color corrector for under the eyes. If you have darkness of any kind and you have not tried a color corrector, you need to. I have really just one to share with you this time, and not to say that I don't love other color correctors. I have, and I will continue to share new ones. I've shared others in the past, but the one that I am in love with right now is this new one from Caliray. This is the Hideaway color correcting, or no, I'm sorry, they call it the Brightening and Hydrating Under Eye Serum Concealer. It has a very long name. This is a color corrector, and it is a very thin, serumy texture, and it is just lovely. Like, the word that comes to mind is lovely with this. Everything about it. The packaging, so nice. This is glass packaging. It has a great shade range as well for a color corrector. I believe it comes in 8 shades, which is not normal for a color correcting product. Typically, you'll see brands release 2 shades, sometimes 4 or 5, but very rarely do you get 8 shades of color corrector. I am a huge proponent of having multiple shades because the shade really does make a difference with a color corrector, but the formula on this is impeccable. I love how hydrating it is, how thin. I don't have a ton of creasing with this product. It lasts well. It layers beautifully underneath concealer. I also love wearing this kind of in my inner corner, and before I blend it, I will add some concealer. I did that today, that I will put up here on the screen, and kind of blend this together with concealer, and it is fantastic. This is truly my top corrector right now. Top corrector. If you watched my last Sephora recommendations video, the corrector I recommended was this one, the Huda Beauty one, and I still love this one. I use it quite often, but I have to say I've been reaching for the Caliray one more. This one I believe comes in 5 shades, maybe 6 shades, and this is a great formula. It's actually very similar to the Caliray. I do think this gives just the slightest bit more coverage than the Caliray, but honestly they are very comparable. I will say the packaging on the Huda is not great. It is very messy. Like mine, I kind of cleaned it up today on the outside, but see what happens to the Huda. I do not love that, and sometimes it's so bad that it like seeps out after you screw the cap on, which I don't love. You might be able to see it's kind of done it there a little bit. That is one thing I really dislike about this. I do not have any issues with this one at all, and this is glass. So, and I believe this is less expensive also than this. So my top recommendation at the moment would be this one, but I do still enjoy the Huda. All right, let's talk about foundations and skin tints. Now, this was hard because like I said in the beginning, I really wanted to keep this condensed. I don't want to give you a list of 25 things per category because that's just a lot. It's too much. So I was trying to be very intentional, but let's start with what I have on my face today. And actually purchased this, I want to say during the last Sephora sale, but this from Ciele. This is a newer brand to Sephora, but this is the Tint and Protect Tinted Serum with SPF 50. If you are looking for a skin tint that is on the glowier side, I would not say it's the glowiest skin tint in my collection, but it does have some glow. Today I paired this with that Iconic London primer, and they paired beautifully together, by the way, probably because they're both serums, so the textures work really well together. But this is an absolutely beautiful skin tint with SPF 50, and it's all mineral. I can't say enough good things about this. This is the most beautiful skin tint. I honestly don't even really know how to best describe it other than it is absolutely stunning on the skin. It wears well and it gives a decent coverage. I would say maybe a little bit more than light coverage, not quite a medium. So I would say light medium on this, but it is so incredibly beautiful. I cannot wait to try more from this brand. This is the only product that I've tried, but I absolutely love it. I do have this on today and I wear the shade Light number 3. This is light for me at the moment. I do have some self tan on, so I had to kind of apply more bronzer to make this work right now, but highly recommend if you're looking for a skin tint on the glowier side. If you are more of a matte person, but you also want something thin, lightweight, great for every day. I actually didn't grab mine, but I'll pop it up here on the screen. My favorite matte skin tint is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Sheer. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because unfortunately most of the shades are out of stock on Sephora. I am panicking about that. I really hope that doesn't mean that it's going away because that is such a phenomenal product. but I wanted to talk about it just in case you happen to see that in person or there is a shade that matches you available online. That is such a beautiful product. I reach for that constantly. It's very similar in texture and coverage to the Ciele, but it is more on the matte side. So if you like something more matte, I would go Estee Lauder. If you like something more glowy, I would go Ciele. And the other foundation I wanted to mention is the one I've been reaching for the most lately if I'm wanting a foundation and not a skin tint. And it's the new one from Makeup Forever. This is the HD Skin Hydra Glow. I tried this out a few months ago, back right around the time it was released, and I didn't really have super high hopes for it. I mainly bought it honestly because I found a shade that is like a perfect match for me when I am at my fairest, which is 1N06. That's kind of why I bought it. And I have been so impressed with this. It is, if you remember the Makeup Forever Reboot foundation, it's basically that foundation. If you liked it or you remember it, this is very, very similar. It's light medium coverage, maybe medium if you built it up a little bit. It is pretty glowy, but what stands out the most to me about this is the wear on it. Because typically a foundation like this that's on the glowier side, the wear is not usually as great. This wears all day on me, all day. No touch-ups, nothing. I do have normal skin. I don't have oily skin at all, so I can't really speak to oily skin. If I were recommending it, I would say anyone but very oily skin could wear this. If you have combination skin, I think you could still pull this off. If you have extremely oily skin, I would say probably not. But I've been loving it. It is very natural looking on the skin, but it still gives you some coverage. I always love how my makeup turns out when I use this. Moving on to another favorite category, which is concealer. I really tried to narrow this down, like I said. So we'll start with the one that I have on today, and I'm kind of eating my words on this one because I have said numerous times that I wasn't a huge fan of this concealer. But the more I have used it, the more I have come to like it. And it's the Tower 28 concealer. I originally said that I didn't love this because it was very creasy on me. I had a lot of creasing under my eyes with it. One thing I've been doing differently that works well for me is I've been applying less concealer. And this is what I was referring to when I was talking about the Caliray earlier. This is the concealer I've been pairing with this the most. So basically I put the Caliray right here, take the Tower 28 and add just a little bit kind of right next to it, and then blending them together, and that's how I've been wearing this the most under my eyes. So that would be the one thing I would say about this. It is so thin and fluid that if you have a ton of fine lines under your eyes, this might crease. It might crease. If you have fine lines and you have a lot of them, products are going to crease. That's just the way it is. Now, some may crease more than others, but they're all going to crease. They're only going to look as good as the skin underneath, and that's just the truth. But if you apply this on the lighter side, and even if you pair it with something like this and mix it, I have not had as much trouble with the creasing. But what I think this is the best for is just all over. So most days when I do wear this, I will wear it all over. So I wear it under my eyes and on my face. And this one will surprise you because it's so thin and lightweight, but it really does spread and it gives you some coverage. It's not full coverage, but the coverage is pretty good. It's pretty good on a concealer of this consistency. I love putting this on from iNNBeauty Project all over and then using this as foundation, mixing it with the corrector, and that's kind of been one of my go-to combos lately. And then I'm only going to mention, well, actually 2 more concealers. I was going to say only one, but you know I can't do this video and not tell you that I love this one because this is still my top favorite, the Natasha Denona High Glam This is another concealer that I love under my eyes, but I also love it just all over. I think I honestly probably like it the most when I just apply it everywhere with nothing else. This is very full coverage. The shade range is impeccable. I think it's 50 something shades. It is a very thin consistency like the Tower 28, but this one has a bit more coverage, a bit more pigment in it, and I just love it. Every time I use it, I love how it looks, I love how it wears, and nothing has dethroned this one for me. So I have to, of course, include this. And then one other concealer I want to put in here. This is an OG favorite for me. This has been a favorite for years at this point, but I want to put it in here. The NARS Soft Matte Concealer. Still to this day, I love this concealer. Now this is a totally different formula than those previous two concealers. This is a cream and it's matte. But if you have blemishes, anything that you really want to cover up on your face, this is the concealer over everything else that I've tried. If you have particularly blemishes, acne, anything that has a lot of pigment in it that you want to cover, this, you can't do better than this. There's nothing else like it on the market, in my opinion. If you go back a few years on my channel, one of my go-to things, I haven't done it in a while, but I would pair this, again, all over my face like a foundation with a glowy primer and just kind of spot conceal with this. And that was another way I've loved using this product. But I feel this is a product that everybody kind of needs in their makeup bag, because we all have those times where you want to cover something up, nothing is covering it. That will cover it. That will cover it, and it's matte. So it's not shiny, it's not hydrating, it's not glittery, so it's not going to emphasize anything. If you don't have this, you need it. Moving on to powder. Again, I tried to really narrow this down. The first one is, this is probably, if I could only pick one powder, it would be this one, the House Labs powder. This is the Bio Blurring Loose Setting Powder. This is the translucent color, but they do have additional shades as well. I love this powder because it doesn't look like powder. It sets your face without just mattifying it entirely. It blurs, but not in a way that looks cakey. I love it. My only complaint is, I say this every time, and I need to just take this netting out. I don't know why I haven't done it yet, but I hate the packaging. I don't like this netting here. And I don't like this. The cap has this like large round thing in the middle, so it's kind of hard to use the cap to swirl the powder around, but that's fine. I'll deal with it because I love the powder. This is great. It's talc free if that's important to you. This one is talc free. But this is one that when I run out, because I will, I'm borderline, I'm getting to the end. I can kind of tell by looking through the packaging. I will absolutely buy this again, 100%. The other powder I have to put in here, and honestly, I've kind of gone back and forth on this powder. And it's not the powder itself, it's that I go through phases with this powder depending on what I'm doing with my makeup. But if I am going to apply a powder under my eyes, and I don't do that all the time, it kind of depends. Like today I was doing my makeup for this video, I did use powder under my eyes, but I don't always. But I'm very picky about powders under my eyes. I do not like most powders for the under eyes. I don't know why, I just find that most of them don't look great. But if I'm gonna use one, the one I love the most has to be this one. I know everyone talks about it, and I've kind of gone through times where I thought, maybe it's not worth it. It is worth it. It is worth it if you are wanting to truly set and mattify under your eyes. I would say this is the best. I like this more than the Huda Beauty one. I like it more than some of my other under eye powders, like the Pat McGrath under eye powder. That one is good, but I like this better. The Westman Atelier under eye powder, that one is good, but I like this better. The key for me is just using less, because I don't love that heavy powdered look. So when I do use this, I do like this one with a puff. So today, I don't know if I filmed when I was applying this. I meant to, but I think I forgot. I use this little triangle puff. I get the powder on the palm of my hand, work the powder into the puff, and then tap it on. And I do not cake it on. I think that's the key, because I just don't like the look of caked powder. I just don't think it looks good on anybody. So if I had to pick one under eye powder, it would be this one. Moving on to bronzer. I have 3 to share with you, and they're mainly creams. I tend to use my cream bronzers more than my powder bronzers, honestly. But the first one, this is the most obvious one, and I know that I've put this in previous recommendation videos, but I have to include it because it's just one of my all-time favorites, and it's the Westman Atelier Face Trace Contour Stick. This is the bronzer I have on today, and I actually have on the shade Truffle, which is typically dark on my skin tone if I'm very fair, but right now, like I said earlier, I'm a little bit darker. I have some self-tan on. It's kind of starting to fade, but I still have some color from it, and this is what I used today to kind of bronze the skin tint. These are just heavenly, just heavenly. They blend themselves, they last all day, they're creamy, they're beautiful, they're so beautiful. I also have Biscuit, and I love Biscuit. Biscuit is more neutral, leaning slightly cool toned. This is more of a warm tone, but they're fantastic. They also now come in minis, and I think all of the shades come in minis now. I might be wrong, but I think they do. So if you're unsure and you want to try it out, get one of the minis, because I have the mini in Biscuit and it has lasted so long. I use it all the time, and I still have quite a bit of product left in there. This is the full size in Truffle, but if you can get a mini, get the mini, because it will last you forever. My favorite way to apply this is on the back of my hand. Get my brush, really work it in, and then just tap it on. That's what I did today, and it's beautiful every single time. I also wanted to mention Westman Atelier in this video, because that's a brand that doesn't go on sale all the time. Some of these brands, and I tried to be mindful of that when picking the products, some of these brands are on sale all the time. They have sales all the time, and a lot of the sales are better than the Sephora sale, depending on your tier. So I did want to just mention that. Westman Atelier, I feel, is a good one to buy during the sale, because you don't see it on sale a ton. The next one is kind of an OG for me, and I've kind of rediscovered it recently. Now this brand does sales, so, you know, pick and choose where you buy it, when you buy it. But one of my favorite cream bronzers of all time is this one from Fenty. This is the Cheeks Out cream bronzer in the shade Butter Biscuit, and I love the formula on this. It is creamy, it's pigmented but not too pigmented, very easy to work with. But my favorite thing about this is the shade. The shade Butter Biscuit, if you are fair, light medium, probably medium this might be a little bit light for, but if you're around my skin tone and you want a truly neutral cream bronzer, this is it. This is the most neutral tone in a cream bronzer that I've tried ever. And the formula is great too. I absolutely love it, from Fenty. The last one is, you know, I gotta mention Patrick Ta here, because if you know me, you know I'm a huge Patrick Ta fan. I'm probably one of his biggest fans. And this is his bronzing contouring duo in the shade She's Bronzed. So this one is more of a bronzer shade, and also have She's Sculpted. She's Sculpted is just a little bit cooler in tone. It's a little bit more of a contouring shade. This one is also beautiful, and you get the powder and the cream in here. I've been reaching for this for like, I don't know, the last month, 6 weeks or so. I had this in my everyday makeup drawer, and I realized how much I've been missing out by not using it. It is a very similar formula to his powder blushes and cream blushes, which, if you know me, you know. We'll get to those in a minute, but I've been loving this. This, like I said, is more of a bronzer tone, but he does have other shades that lean more of a cooler contouring tone. It's just nice sometimes to have a cream and a powder together. It's one of the things I love about his products is that he does the duos. Highly recommend from Patrick Ta. Moving into blush, another one of my favorites. We will start with the most obvious. I promise I won't spend a ton of time on these because I talk these into the ground, literally. The Patrick Ta blush duos are my favorites. If I had to pick one blush formula, it would be these, hands down. I have so many blushes and I love blush. It's one of my favorite steps in makeup, but I could just have his blushes and I would be so happy. I would be so happy. I will share my favorite shades. This is one of them and She's Wanted. This is the most beautiful, warm berry tone. It's like a blue-based berry and it's absolutely stunning. Every single skin tone can wear this color. I've even heard Patrick Ta himself say that in one of his videos on Instagram. But this color, yes, if you're fair, you can wear this color. Yes, you have to be kind of careful, but it is the most beautiful. It looks like a true flush on your skin. It looks like blood almost, but like in the best way. Like when blood rushes to the surface, that's what this looks like on your skin. It is absolutely beautiful. His newest, or one of his newest shades is also a new favorite. This is the one I probably use the most now, which is Not Too Much. It is the most perfect nude ever. I mean, look at the color. Look at that color. I will insert swatches of my favorites, but this is my most reached for of his blushes now. It is such a pretty light nude. If you have fair, light, medium skin tone. If you have a deeper skin tone, so if you're medium tan, deep, and darker, I would say if you're looking for a similar tone, go for She's Blushing. That one is very similar in color to this. It's just more pigmented and it's a bit deeper. And then the other one, the one that kind of made me fall in love with his blushes to begin with, is She's That Girl. I didn't grab that one to show you, but I will swatch it here and put it up on the screen. It's the perfect warm pink. It's not a blue-based pink. He has a lot of those really popular viral blue-based pink. She's That Girl is a warmer, just very slightly peachy pink, but it's the one that I fell in love with first. So I highly recommend any of them though. They're all beautiful and they last on your skin. They are just 10 out of 10. You can do powder and then cream on top. That's how he recommends applying them, or you can do the traditional cream and then set it with powder. And the other blush that I pulled out is one that I feel like I don't give much love to on my channel, and it's not because I don't love it. I do. It's actually what I have on today. I wore this on purpose because I wanted you to see how pretty it is. But it is the Valentino Eye to Cheek Dual Use Blush and Eyeshadow. So I remember hearing about these originally from Andrea Ali, who I love and adore. I will buy anything that woman tells me to. But this is the shade number 2, and this is the most unique formula. I don't even know how to describe it. It is a powder, but it does not look like powder on your skin. It looks like a cream, but it's not. It's a powder. The color, this one that I have, is a little bit more of that blue-based, pinky, almost leaning lavender kind of color, which I do really like for my skin tone. These are so unique. I don't have any other formula like this. It is so beautiful. If you've tried these, you probably know what I mean. They're very hard to describe, but the formula is just, it's everything. It's not flat matte, but it's not shimmery either, but it has this like really realistic looking skin-like glow. It is absolutely beautiful. I would love to have another shade actually that's more neutral and not so pink, but I definitely recommend and think these are stunning. I also absolutely love the Westman Atelier blushes. I just realized I did not pull one out, so hold on. Okay, so here is the Westman Atelier blush. I actually have 3 of these, but this is the one I use the most by far. It's Petal. This is probably the most popular shade of this one, and it's just that perfect pinky nude color. But this formula is the same as the Face Trace contour stick that I mentioned earlier. These are beautiful. Any of the colors though, honestly, I use Petal the most, but I also have Popette and I also have Chochette, I think is what it's called. It's more of a peachy shade. They're all beautiful though, and I mean the Westman Atelier packaging alone, it's heavy, it's pretty to look at, it's magnetic. Everything about this brand just speaks to my soul, and I think, yes, their products are more expensive. To me, they're worth it. I think anytime you can get this brand on a discount, I would do it if there's something that you're wanting. So I had to talk about these. I had to talk about these. And those are the ones I pulled out. I have so many others that I love that you've heard me talk about. But like I said, I'm trying to keep this a little bit more condensed and not throw so many products at you. But I love the Mario blush veils. I love the Mario blush sticks. I love the Rare Beauty blushes. I mean, there are so many, but those are like the standouts that I just had to put in the video. Moving along to highlighter, I have 2 of them to share with you. The first one is again from Westman Atelier. I have to because this is the most beautiful cream highlighter ever. And I do think it's worth it, and I really think it's worth it if you can save some money on it. This fully loaded tinted highlighter in Peau de Pêche comes in 3 shades. This is the medium one, and it's kind of a bronze nude highlight, but this formula gives your skin the most beautiful golden, I've been out in the sun kind of glow, but not in an oily way, not in a texture enhancing way, not in a metallic way. It's just the most beautiful highlighter ever. I highly recommend it. Yes, it is expensive, but it is worth it. I have not regretted it one bit. This is so heavy. It's like a paperweight, honestly. But this, I mean, I have to put this in here. It's holy grail for me in the highlighter category. And the other one is, this one's been around for a while. I've recently rediscovered just how amazing this is from Dior. This is the Backstage Glow Face Palette. Now, mine is the older version. You can tell by the Dior lettering. They, I'm sure you know, reformulated 6 months ago or so, and now the lettering looks different. But so I have not tried the newest version of this, but this is such a gorgeous highlighter palette for a powder. This is about as close to a cream look on your skin as you can get without being a cream. It just doesn't look like a powder highlighter. A lot of powder highlights, to me, when you look at them, they look like powder, but this one doesn't, even though it is. I also love this as eyeshadow. I just think, unless you're someone that does not like any glow at all on your eyes, on your cheeks, nothing, obviously you wouldn't pay money for a highlighter. But if you do and you don't have this, I do think this is just gorgeous, classic Dior product. I love it. For brows, I don't have a ton to talk about because honestly, I love a ton of drugstore products for brows, but I couldn't do this video and not talk about this because this has been the brow love of my life for the past 6 months, maybe a little bit longer than that. The brow powder from Anastasia in medium brown. I feel like this is such an OG product. So many people, I'm sure, have tried this years ago. I was new to using a powder in my brows until about 6 months ago. I bought this and have been in love with it and use it almost daily since then. I just love how natural and beautiful powder looks in your brows. I also love that you get 2 colors in here, so you get a lighter one and a darker one. I usually kind of focus the lighter shade on this inner part of my brow, and then I use the deeper shade on the rest of my brow. But I use a little angled brush with this, and this is, or it gives me the brows of my dreams. Natural, fluffy, Love it. For a brow gel, the two I use the most are these Benefit and Rare Beauty. Benefit, this one's actually almost gone. I used the Benefit one today. This one has the kind of paddle-like brush, which I really like. So this one will really laminate your brows if you want that look, or you can just use like the side of it and kind of brush through them that way and get more of a fluffy look. But brows stay in place all day with this and the Rare Beauty. The Rare Beauty is a little bit more of a thicker gel. I don't know if you can see that there, but the hold is the same as the Benefit. I really, really like both of these, to be honest. Probably prefer the brush on the Benefit. I don't love this little brush from Rare Beauty as much, but it works great and I really like it. Neither of them leave a white or weird residue look in your brows either, so I love both of those for the brows. All right, moving into eyes. I have quite a few things here. I thought I kind of narrowed this down, but now looking at my list, I guess I really didn't narrow it down too much. But the first product has to be these from Armani. If you saw my one and done eyeshadow video a few weeks ago, this was one of the formulas that I shared in that video. Today I used this shade in 18 as an eye base. I did use a palette on top that we'll talk about in a minute, but I used this as an eye base. And these are perfect one and done shadows, perfect. The shade 18 is just slightly darker than my skin tone, so it evens out my eyelids and adds just like the tiniest bit of color without being a ton. It also is great as a primer. I use this all the time just as a primer underneath eyeshadow if I am using eyeshadow, or I use this on its own. But this formula is kind of a moussey texture, but it blends out so effortlessly. It lasts all day. These are long wearing. I love them. I have several shades, but these are the two I use the most, 18 and 22. 22 I believe is called Cashew, and it's kind of like a taupier brown and just a little bit deeper than the shade 18, but also beautiful, a great one and done, just a little bit darker than this one, like I said. But these I reach for constantly, either on their own or as bases. Okay, let's move into what I have on my eyes today. The YSL Mini Clutch eyeshadow palettes. I have 3. I believe they come total in like 6 shades. I think Sephora only has 4 of the 6. But these are just so luxurious and nice. The formula of the eyeshadow, but just the packaging. I know some people are packaging people, some are not. I am a packaging person. I love a good, pretty makeup product. I mean, come on. Look at that quilting. I know all my luxury makeup lovers out there know what I mean. But the one that I have on today, you can probably guess by looking at my eyes, is this one, and this is probably the most popular one. This is the shade 100 Stora Dolls. And I mean, I don't really know what to say. I don't think I really need to say anything about this. I think it kind of speaks for itself. But this is the most gorgeous, cool toned quad. I mean, it's stunning. It is so stunning. It's the most popular for a reason, because these colors, especially this one right here. So I went in with that Armani in the shade 18 first. Then I went in with this shade. This is my favorite shade in the palette, this one right here. It's a perfect taupey brown, one and done. But I used it today to kind of set that Armani shadow. And then I used a little bit of the light shade in the inner corner, a little bit of the brown in the outer corner, and then I used this beautiful topper in the center of my lid. And this is one of those formulas that you really cannot mess it up. It's so velvety and just creamy and buttery that it blends. There are no harsh lines with this formula. It is so beautiful. I also have this one, which is 400. I believe this one's Babylon Roses, I think, so it's more rosy. You have the mauve tone in here as well. Love that one. And then the first one I actually got was shade 300. which is the warmer ones. You have, it's like a warmer brown, kind of golden palette. Warm brown, more of a cool, deeper chocolate brown, like a ivory color, and then this beautiful gold topper. Truly though, you can't go wrong with any of them. They're all beautiful. If you like that beautiful, buttery, kind of soft, satiny eye look, you will love these. One of my newer palettes is this one from Dior. This is the Backstage palette in Smoky Essentials. This palette was one of those, you know, sometimes you see a palette and, or it doesn't have to be a palette, but you see something and it's just, you're drawn to it immediately. This palette was that for me, and I can't really explain it. It's neutral, but it has a little bit of something to it. You have these purples here, you have these two deeper, like really smoky gray blue tones, and then you have like the classic neutrals, but this is just an absolutely stunning palette. I love this formula as well. It is a little bit more of a satin finish shadow, not as creamy feeling as the YSL, but still very beautiful. This is not a super pigmented formula. You can build it up a little bit, but if you're wanting a lot of pigment, I would not direct you to this. I would not direct you to the YSL. These are a much more soft, muted look, so you have to want that, but I love this. I think these are my two favorite shades in here, this one here and this center one. Both of those gorgeous one and done shadows. Great formula from Dior. Love it. Now let's move into my favorite that I've talked about so many times, and I'm going to talk about it again because it's still one of my favorites after all this time. I love the Patrick Ta eyeshadow palettes. I fell in love with this immediately when I got it. Immediately when this launched, I bought it the day it launched. I remember going to Sephora and buying this. And I still love it. I still use it. So this is the Major Dimension 1 palette. So he now has Major Dimension 2 and most recently Major Dimension 3, which is all matte. This one is a warmer, kind of bronzy neutral palette. And they do all have the two cream shades down here, which I also love. Very different. It makes his palettes stand out for me from everything else that's on the market. His matte formula is probably my favorite, to be honest. They are just the right amount of pigment without being too much or too little. They are blendable, never patchy, just stunning, stunning. They aren't the most intense mattes, I will say that. So if you love a lot of pigment, it might not be enough for you. This matte, or this formula, I would say is more pigmented than the previous palettes, but it's still not like a Natasha Denona or a Pat McGrath level of pigment, if you know what I mean. But I love this palette. I also love Major Dimension 3, which is all matte. It has warm and cool tones in it. That one is great too. If you're just wanting a matte palette, I love that one as well. But you're never gonna hear me not talk about these palettes because I love them. And of course, I have to put this in here because this is another standout palette. Natasha Denona, I Need a Nude. I think most people probably have this in their recommendations video, or at least one of the Natasha Denona midi palettes. This is so beautiful if you like a rosier, slight, I would say it leans more neutral. A lot of people say it's cool toned. I wouldn't call this cool toned. I would say it's more neutral with some cooler tones mixed in. But if you like kind of an ethereal eye look, very similar to Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette, which I also love. I don't think you can get that right now. This one is fantastic. And these mattes, they are true to Natasha Denona quality. They are very pigmented, but easy to blend. I love every single shade in here, and I can't often say that about a palette this large, but I think if this color story speaks to you, I don't think you would be disappointed in this at all. And then one other palette I did want to put in here because it deserves to be in this video, and it's the newest palette from Makeup by Mario. The Master Mattes, the neutrals, I have not had this for very long. Obviously, this was released pretty recently, but I do think this is a fantastic all matte palette if you're looking for something neutral, leaning cool. So there's not a ton of warmth in here, but there are some shades that I would say lean more neutral than they do cool toned. This is a great palette. I used to have the original Master Mattes and actually sold it because I didn't use it much. I didn't love the tones in there. It's very yellow and red based, not nearly as neutral as this one. So I'm happy to have this in my collection now. It's a great formula. Similar, I would say, to the Patrick Ta matte formula. It's not the most intensely pigmented, but you can build it up and it's just very user friendly. So I have to put this in here as well. I know I'm gonna get the question if I like the new Mario palette or the Patrick Ta Major Dimension 3. I can't choose. I can't choose between the two. I love them both. I think it depends on just the color story that speaks to you the most. The Mario palette is just straight neutral to me. The Patrick Ta palette has a row that is very warm and a row that is very cool. So you get a little bit of both, and you get 2 cream shadows as well with the Patrick Ta palette. So it really just depends. I can't choose. I can't choose. I only have one eyeliner to share. I don't use a ton of eyeliners from Sephora, but my very favorite is the Makeup by Mario. This liner is the most similar, I would say, to my Victoria Beckham liner in terms of a liner that's available at Sephora. I use mine the most in the Perfect Brown in my waterline. It lasts really, really well there for me, which is not common for liners. It also has the little smudge brush on the end that I really like, and I also have the shade Soft Brown, which is a lot lighter. It's more of a bronzy brown, so if you want something a little bit softer, I love that color as well. But yeah, my top recommendation for liner at Sephora would be the Makeup by Mario. And then for mascara, I have 2. We'll start with this one. This is the one I have on today, and it's YSL Lash Clash in the brown color. I like the brown, but it also comes in black and also comes in like a bright cobalt blue. I've recommended this many times, but if you want a ton of volume, intensity, fullness, like that bold eyelash look without having falsies on, this is that mascara. It does all of those things and more. It's great. I love it. It's not an everyday mascara for me because it's very dramatic. So you have to kind of want that look. But if you do, this is a great one. It wears well. It doesn't smudge. It doesn't flake. It is a little bit hard to remove, I think, just because the formula really is thick and it adheres to your lashes. So you do have to work a little bit to get it off. But I do love it. When I do like a makeup look like this, where I do eyeshadow and everything, I love this mascara in brown. A newer favorite for me is this one from Clinique. This is the High Impact Hi-Fi Full Volume Mascara. I have the black brown shade, and then there's obviously the traditional black color. I think this has been out, I don't know, a few months, and I love the wand on this one because it's smaller here and then it's a little bit fuller here, but I like using the small end to get like the inner corner of my eye or like those tiny lashes that sometimes can be kind of hard to get to. This brush is really great for that. But this is more, I would say, of a lengthening mascara. You do get some volume with it, but I think it primarily gives length. It has little fibers in it. If you look at the wand, you can kind of see the little fibers. So it does add some fullness, but I would say it's more on the lengthening side in comparison to the YSL. But I love this one too. I would absolutely repurchase this one again. I have repurchased the YSL multiple times, but I think this one is great from Clinique too. Finally, for the lips, I really narrowed this down for the lips because I had a lot of things picked out and then I tried to keep it condensed, like I said. So for lip liner, I love lip liner. I'm a lip liner girl. I am always trying new ones. It's one of my favorite makeup products to buy. The liners that I use the most are these, and you will see. The Makeup by Mario lip liners. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a mini 6, and I think I have another one that I think I have 7 total, but I love everything about these. I love the formula. They're a wooden pencil, but they're not a dry pencil. They are pretty creamy, but not so creamy that they wear off really easily. These last really, really well. And the shade range on these, I mean, he has so many good colors, it's crazy. I would honestly take one of each of these liners. Today I have on Almond, which is a really beautiful brown. I will show you here. It's kind of a mauve-y brown. Looks like that. I love it. So Almond is the one I have on today, but I use Travis a lot. That one's more of like a chocolatey brown. I use Hue a lot. That one is more pink. Toasty is another really good one. Smoky pink. There are so many. They're just great. And I also love that he includes the brush on the other end. This is so handy to have. You know how sometimes you want to blend your lip liner with your lipstick or whatever you have going on your lips. It's just nice to have a little brush built into the liner. I can't recommend these highly enough. Lately, these are probably the ones I reach for the absolute most. I do still love my favorite Pat McGrath Permagel lip liner in Structure. That is like my perfect rosy mauve liner, and it's a little bit creamier than the Makeup by Mario's, but still lasts really well, so I do like that formula too. But lately, honestly, I've been going for the Mario liners. And then, okay, for lips, I am typically not the biggest lipstick person. I have lipsticks. Every now and then I'll buy a lipstick, but I'm much more of a gloss or a lip oil person. So that you will see that reflected in my choices here. But let's talk about this. I've talked about this many, many times, so I won't harp on it too much. But this gloss, if I had to pick one lip gloss, and like I said, I'm a gloss girl, it would be this one, the Dior Lip Maximizer, specifically in the shade Rose Nude. That is what I have on my lips today with the Mario lip liner in Almond. And I mean, this, from the color to the formula, is everything that I love in a gloss. It does have a little bit of that plumping feel on your lips, but it doesn't sting or hurt or anything like that. It's shiny, it's not sticky. I think I have 5 of these, but this is my favorite by far in the shade 38. So if I could only have one lip gloss, it would be this one. The other gloss I wanted to mention, and this one is kind of getting harder to find. I hope it's not being discontinued, but the Patrick Ta Major Shine lip glosses. This one is in She's an Influencer. I think it comes in 3 different shades. But this is a gorgeous gloss because it goes with everything. It doesn't have much of a base to it. It's kind of a very sheer pink with a lot of shimmer in it. Different colors of shimmer. So it goes with everything. It adds just the prettiest shine to a lipstick or on its own, just with a lip liner. I love this formula. I actually like this formula better than his plumping gloss formula. I like those too, but I like this one more. And another formula I wanted to put in here is this one, also from Dior. This is the Dior Addict lipstick. It's one of the shinier lipsticks from Dior. It has really pretty black and silver packaging. And this one is in the shade Atelier 527. It's a really pretty rosy color, kind of like a rose wood. And I love this formula. It's like a very tinted lip balm, I would say. It's very moisturizing and thin feeling on the lips, but you do get some pigment with it. I'm just not a huge matte lipstick person typically, so I love moisturizing lip products like this. So I love this formula from Dior. There are so many that I like. I still love the Makeup by Mario Moisture Glow lip serums. I have so many of those. I still use them. If you like that thick, glossy look, you can't go wrong with those either. And then one final lip formula I wanted to touch on, because I do really love these also, but the iNNBeauty Project lip oils, the lip glaze, these are really nice lip oils. They are, in my opinion, I actually like these better than the Dior lip oils. The applicator is very similar. It's a kind of a larger, chunkier applicator. These do have different smells depending on the color that you get, but these are very glossy and a little bit on the thicker side, which I personally love a thicker lip oil, and they come in so many good colors and scents. So if you don't like scents, I would say maybe don't get these because they all have a different smell, like I said, but really like these from iNNBeauty Project. One final thing I wanted to put in here is my setting spray of choice is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless. I love this one. As you can see, mine is almost gone. I already have a backup of this, but to me, this truly just checks all the boxes. This to me just does a fantastic job of locking your makeup in. I have tried quite a few setting sprays. I always end up going back to this one. I consistently use these up. It's that good. It's my favorite. Personally, my second choice would be the Milk Hydro Grip setting spray. That is also great. It's a little bit more hydrating, I would say, than this one. This one is not drying or anything. It's just not quite as hydrating as the Milk one, but for setting spray, those are my two favorites. All right, those are my makeup recommendations from Sephora for the savings event. I was going to include some miscellaneous things, like some hair things, some skincare, just some random other things that I love from Sephora, but I think I might do a separate video on those because this one's already going to be really long. So if you want to see that, let me know in the comments and I'll do that video also. But I hope this was helpful or enjoyable for you. I will have all the products linked and listed for you in the description box, as well as up on the screen in the YouTube shopping feature. You should see it in the bottom left-hand corner. Just another way for you to click on a product. It will take you directly there. And happy shopping, happy Sephora sale. I thank you so much if you do choose to use my links. It just supports my channel. I do make a commission from them. When you shop through them, it really does help me and I really do appreciate it. If you're new, I hope you'll subscribe and follow me over on Instagram at simply.blair and TikTok simply.blair1. And I will see you next time for another video. Remember, simply be you. Bye.